Hello, all of my crafty friends. Thank you so much for joining me on my channel. Welcome back to Pretty Pink Craft Room. Thank you so much, any of you who are returning back to my channel, and thank you to those of you who are joining me for the first time. Hopefully you may see something in this video that might encourage you or inspire you to subscribe, like, and comment on the video as well. So for today's project, I figured I would show you some of the things I've been working on. I've been really making several of these, what I'm calling summertime mini albums that are ring bound. You can see they have the rings here. And they're really cute with plenty of space to add so many photos to the album. And they're made in kind of the similar way, but I sometimes added a little bit of different things to them. So I'm going to just speed through, flipping through each of these albums so you can kind of see what it looks like. And then, of course, if you are interested in joining me for a tutorial, then hopefully you will stick around and we can do a tutorial together. So I'll speed through this section of the video and just flip through what it looks like on the inside so you can have a look at that too. To create this project today, I am going to be using this paper pack from Echo Park Paper. It's called Summer Vibes. I'll use it to create another one of these summer photo mini albums. Now, of course, I am going to again use the cinch method of binding these together using the rings, but you don't have to use that if you don't have the machine to do the cinching. You can also purchase these little rings like these. They come in different colors. You can get them off of Amazon, and you can use those types of rings as your binding system to keep all of your papers together, and maybe just choose to do maybe 3 or 4 of them and just use them in those respective places to keep all of your paper together. So that's an option for you in case you don't have the cinch system or the cinch machine. You can definitely use that. Now my album measures 5 1/4 by 7 1/4, and as my base I'm going to be using this leftover recycled cover that I got some paper out of and just kept the cover. It's thicker than cardstock, just a tad bit thicker than cardstock, but I don't need it to be thick like chipboard because we're going to layer it with paper, and that paper is going to provide all the stability you need for your front and back cover. So I've already cut these down to size at 5 1/4 by 7. I'm sorry, yes, 5 1/4 by 7 1/4. I almost confused myself. And I am going to, I've also cut down some other papers just to kind of save time so that the video doesn't run too long. I've kind of chosen some papers that I wanted to use and what I want to do for the cover. So for the cover, my idea was to do this paper up at the top, do this one at the bottom, and this is like my center focal piece, and then of course I'll embellish it and decorate it as well. So because I'm doing two separate papers, I measured it out to 4 1/4 by 6 1/4, the top and the bottom. But if you're just using one sheet, you just want to leave yourself a 1/2 inch on all sides. So if this is 5 1/4 by 7 1/4, then I would cut my paper to 6 1/4 by 8 1/4. Just give myself enough room on all sides. So I'm gonna go ahead and add adhesive to this and then secure the papers down. Let me get some tape and we'll go ahead and do that. So I've added my tape on the back, my adhesive score tape on the back, and I've just taken off some of the labels here, and I'll take off the final one. And again, I'm just using this piece that I've pre-cut. I want this as the top, and then I'll add a contrasting paper at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and line this up. I'm going to try to use my grid lines on my mat to try to help me to keep this in line and straight, and just try to adhere the top portion down. So the top portion is this, and then I will use this for the bottom portion. So I'm going to try to again use my scoreboard to try to help me keep things straight and in line, and make sure I stay in frame for you guys too. So okay, and what I'm thinking I also need to do is add a little bit of adhesive on that top portion so that it can stay down as well, because that's where it's going to overlap with the other paper, if that makes sense. So I'll actually turn this face up and adhere it that way. That will make it easier for me to see everything that's going on. So I'll go this way like so. Okay, that is perfect. So that's exactly how I want my cover to look with the two contrasting papers there. So as you can see on the back, I have this border all the way around, this 1/2 inch border. And so all I need to do is just miter my edges and then fold this over. So I'm just cutting an angle on these edges, but leaving a fraction, like less than 1/8 of an inch right here on this against the cardstock or the chipboard or the base, so that it'll cover those corners for me too. I'm freehanding it, of course, but there are so many different tools that you can use to help you to make more precision cutting. But for the sake of the tutorial, I'm just going ahead and just freehanding it. And then all I'm doing now is I'm going to go ahead and massage that paper into place. I want it to get used to folding the way I want it to fold. So I'm just gently folding it against my base so that I can get used to that. And then I can kind of press it and just making sure it doesn't crack, but it's used to folding in that direction. Now for this section here, and this is completely optional, this is a little bit bulky here for me. So I'm just going to cut a V to take away some of that bulk, not going all the way to the edge, but just cutting a little bit down on it so that it isn't as bulky when I fold it over. Let's see here. Okay, so it does help a little bit to reduce some of that bulk because the papers are overlapping with each other. So I'll do the other side. I'll add my adhesive to secure this down, And before I secure it down, I'll come back and show you how I secure it against here too, but I'll just add the adhesive and pause and do that first. So now that the score tape is down, I'm just gonna take two sides, whichever two sides you want to work with first. I sometimes choose the smaller side, sometimes I choose the larger side, and then I just fold that in onto the tape. Then I'll do the same thing here and fold that in. And then for the opposite sides, the longer sides, I use my nail to kind of push it in just a little bit. Maybe you can see if I bring it up a little bit closer, but I'm just pushing in a little bit of that corner so that it's not exposed in any way, that you won't be able to see it at all. The paper will just fold over each other and create a sharp, crisp edge. Okay, and then I'll just fold that over. And so now your edge is completely sealed. It's not exposed in any way. There you go. And again, there are tools out there that you can use that will certainly make this easier for you. It's just, and I actually have several tools that I have purchased. And sometimes I use them and sometimes I'm just like, oh, just free-handed. Just do what you feel and pray that it comes out okay. So, and sometimes it does come out okay, sometimes not, but you know, that's what crafting is about, trial and error. So that is my front cover. And I'm really stoked about how that came out. I love the contrast in the colors like that. It really appeals to me. So I've done the front cover, so I'm just going to do the back cover. I've chosen this paper that I'm going to use for the back cover with all of the waves on it. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the back cover. Since you've already seen me do the front one, I'll do the back cover off camera, and then we will be back to add our pages and our inserts. So we've covered the front and the back with the paper design. I've already done the back off camera using the same method that we went over together previously. So now we're going to work on the inside cover. And for the inside cover, I do a pocket down here, a notch pocket, and then paper cover at the top. So for the top, I've cut a piece that is about 5 1/8 by 5 1/8, and you can scale this down based on how much of a border you want on all of the sides here. So this is just what my preference was, just to have a little bit of a border on the 3 sides. And so I'm just going to add some glue here and adhere that down to the top portion. Okay, I'll get that centered on there in the right place. Make sure it gets lined up right. Okay, so that's my top portion. Let me get to kind of just make sure this lays down properly. Okay. So for the bottom, I do have a pocket that I add here. So I've taken a piece of paper, and this paper measures 6 1/8 by 3 3/4. And what we're going to do is the same basic thing that we always do for our pockets. We're going to score it on 3 sides at 1/2 inch. So I brought out my scoreboard to go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to do 1/2 inch on 3 sides. And then I will miter the edges so that we can add the pocket. Okay, and then I'll fold this down. And before I add it to that cover, I do want to notch it in the center. So I do need to find my center. So I'm going to use my ruler to try to help me find my center. And then I'll notch it. So I'm just using this ruler here to guide me. Okay, that looks like the center. And then I'll just mark it down. And then I have my little notch punch that I'm gonna notch it with. Now, of course, you could do something different, like maybe you want to use a circle punch to notch it down, or maybe you don't even want to notch it at all. You could, of course, choose to do that as well. So that's an option too. So for the cover for this, I just have a matting piece that I'm going to use, and this mat measures 5 by 3 1/8. Again, I'm just letting just a portion of the edge show through, not the whole thing. I think I'm going to have to change my blade out on my paper because the edges don't seem as crisp as they should. So I'm just going to notch this down. I'm going to line it up and then make a mark on the center for myself. So I just lined it up here and then turned it over, make a mark, and then I'll notch it and hope that I am still in the right place. Okay, let's add this back here. Okay, and we are perfect. That little pencil mark is showing through. Let me erase that off. Okay, so I'll add the adhesive here. And then add that to the pocket. Okay, just trying to get some of that glue from showing on the sides there. Okay, so I'll bring back my cover and I'm just going to add that here at the bottom. So now you'll have a pocket at the bottom of your inside cover. Okay. I am going to pause in a moment and actually go and wipe my hands, and my hands have so much glue on them that it's getting on some of these papers, and I really don't like that at all. So I'm just going to take a brief moment, get some alcohol, rub it on my fingers, try to get some of that glue down. But ultimately, this is what the inside cover looks like with your pocket there. And I did already do the back inside cover, so that one looks like that. So now you have both of your covers already done, and so we'll then insert the papers on the inside as well. Since we've already completed our covers and the insides as well, it is now time to start working on building our pages for the inside of the album. So for me personally, what I like to do to make it easier for myself is I try to make all of the pages the same height as the cover. And the cover is, again, the height is 7 1/4 by 5 1/4. So I do take the pages, make them a slightly more narrow than the cover. So the pages will measure 5 by 7 1/4. And I am using about 5 pages inside, because once you start layering and matting, you will see that the book bulks up rather quickly. So I think about 5 to 6 pages is a good number to try to keep your pages or to try to keep your book from bulking out a bit too much. So this is the first page that I've chosen, and it actually measures 7 1/2 by 7 1/4, and that's because I've chosen to score it at 5 inches to make a fold over page. So I've already scored it. Again, this was 7 1/2 by 7 1/4, and on the 7 1/2 inch side I scored it at 5 inches, and I just want to allow it to be a back fold over page. So that will be my page 1, and then of course I will decorate it as to how it will need to look. So I'll put that there. This one is page 2. Again, it's measured at 5 inches by 7 1/4. This one is page 3, 5 inches by 7 1/4. You guys can see how simple all of this turns out to be. Again, page 4, 5 inches by 7 1/4. And then this is my 5th page, which is the very large pocket that I use at the back. So this actually measures 10 by 7 1/4, and then I'm going to fold this over, and I will notch it up here at the top, and then it will become a pocket that larger pictures can be stored in if you choose to use it for that particular purpose. So these are the pages, and they will go inside of this book just like this, and your book will be like so. Now, I did make a mistake, and I just want to point that out in case you're noticing it too, is the back cover. For some reason, I cut it out instead of at 5 1/4. This way I did 5 3/8. I'm not sure how I missed that, but it is okay. I went ahead and covered it anyway. It will stand out just a little bit more than the front cover, but as long as they're all the same height, that same 7 1/4 inch height, it'll be pretty easy to go ahead and add the rings in and cinch it all down. So let's go ahead and do that process together. And I do like to do the cinching first before the complete decorating, because you don't want to make your decorations go into the area where the cinch rings need to be. So by doing it this way, it kind of allows you to see or visualize where your rings are so that you can keep your decorations out of the way, and it won't impede the folding back and forth of the pages of the mini album. Hopefully that makes sense. So let me get some cinch rings to decide which color I'm going to use, and I'll bring out the machine and we can go ahead and get started. So I have pulled out my rings. I've pulled out my mini cinch machine. This is what it looks like. I don't have the bigger cinch. I do need to invest in that since I make so much of these that I do want to make larger ones. So I do need to invest in that, which I will probably very soon. But for today, we will be using the mini cinch, and so I have the rings for that as well. Now, before I start punching the holes, I like to make myself a template. And basically, all I do is take a scrap piece of paper, measure it at the height of the project that I'm working with. So I make it the exact same height as my project, and then I punch my holes, and then that helps me to see where I line this up on the cinch machine to make sure that everything is in place and everything will be equal and that I don't go off. It's easy for me to go off and to make mistakes using these things, and so I would hate to ruin a project because I didn't take the time to make a template. So that's completely optional. In case you haven't seen one of these before, I'm pretty sure you have. This is how it looks, and you secure it down with this little lever here, and then to release it, you push down and remove the lever, and now you're able to use it as you need to. So let me bring it in frame for you. So that's what it looks like. So the template I have tells me that I need to line my edge, my top edge of my cover at 4 1/2, and then I'll flip it, and then I'll line it up at 4, and that will give me 12 holes for my project that I will put my rings through. So I'll show you how I'll do one, and then I'll do the rest off camera, and then I'll show you how we cinch it all together. So I'm going to again line this up at 4 1/2 because this is where my template is guiding me. So 4 1/2, and hopefully this won't shake the camera too much, but then you press down pretty hard, and it will create these holes for you that you can see there. So then you have to flip it over and line it up so that the hole can go here on this side lever and be locked in like so, and still be lined up properly. So I have to line this up at 4 for the bottom of the cover page here. I need to lock in that hole there so it's locked in securely, it won't come out. I line that up at 4, and then I press. I need a little bit of strength for this. There we go. Sorry for the camera movement, but took a little effort to get that going. So now you can see, and it does create these little tags here off of the paper that I do have to cut off. I don't know if that's because I've used this machine so much and my blades are just, you know, getting older and they're not sharp as they should be or used to be. I do need to research that and see if that's the cause of why that's happening. But I just cut those off and put the rings through, and it still looks relatively okay. So that's pretty much how you do it, how you go ahead. And again, because my pages are the same height, 7 1/4, I'll do them the exact same way. If they were shorter, or shorter, then you'd have to measure to make sure they were centered to the cover and make sure that they would be lined up properly. You know, you'd have to do all those extra things. But since I don't have this, since they are of the same height together, I can do them all the same. So I'm going to go ahead and punch them all to the same, and then I will be back and I will show you how we cinch them. So I have punched all my pages, and before we add the rings, I just want to show you another thing that I do to try to create more cohesion with my papers, because I know the designs are different for each page, but I like some of the design to carry through. So this is again the first page. So sometimes I will add like a strip of the previous page on there so that it kind of creates a cohesive look across the multiple pages, even though they have two different designs. So I've done that there. Then I did it here. I added a strip, and this is just a 1-inch strip that I just added before punching the holes down. And let me see if I can get this off. This is one of those leftover hanging papers. I did the same thing here, and then added some here, and then just added a strip here. And this is the, again, that large top pocket that you can add extra pictures in. And then I also punched the back cover there. So that's just another design idea. It's completely optional, of course, like everything, and you can choose to decorate it how you like, but that's just something I like to do to create a certain look to the album itself. So I have my rings here, and again, I have 12 holes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I had to make sure. So yeah, I have 12 holes. So I cut the strip down to match 12 holes exactly. So you take the side of your cinch machine, and let me bring it in frame here. So you take the side, and here you have a place where you can actually take this part of the rings and set them on top so that it kind of seals it in place so that you can add your pages. So I'll do a quick thing. Again, you may have already seen this, but in case some of you have not, I'll go ahead and do a quick thing. So the first thing I do is I remove the back cover. And the back cover actually goes on last because you want to use it as a way to lock in your rings. So this is the back cover. I'll put it to the side for right now. And then I'll just go ahead and start adding from the back to the front. So just add my pages on. Okay, so there's not that many pages, so again, that makes it really quickly. So I've added from back to front, and this is the front cover again. So I'm going to take that back cover and flip it to the inside. So this is the inside. You remember this was the back, and this is the inside. And that's the part you want to go up front because it will eventually flip and lock in your ring. So I'll show you what that looks like so that you can see it more visually than what I'm explaining it, because the words are probably not coming out very well. So basically that's how it's going to be lined up on the rings themselves, and then you turn the cinch to the back, and this mechanism here is what you use to press your rings closed and to close them together. So I'm going to go ahead and do that on screen and hope that I can get it all lined up properly and not mess this up. Oh, see? Have to make sure, excuse me, that you lock it in right. Okay. And I can only do, of course, because this is a mini and I have like 12 rings here, I can only do 6 at a time, or about 5 at a time, and then I have to move it down and do the remaining ones, because again, I do need to invest into that larger cinch machine, and hopefully I can very soon. Okay, so this is actually how it looks here. I'm going to tighten them just a little bit because there's quite a bit of space and I don't want any pages to fall out. So you can see that there. Let me do it just a little bit more. Better. So that's the final product here. So now you can see when this back cover, when you flip it now, it goes to the back. And the reason why you wanted to do that is because you want it to lock in these rings here at the back and keep them all together so that no pages fall out. Hopefully you guys can see that pretty good. No pages will fall out of your rings, and it'll keep it all together like so. So that is the completed ring, and all that is left to do is to decorate and to add the photo mats, add all the pretty stickers and the designs and everything like that, and then your project will be completed and you will have a cute little summer photo album mini book that you can use. Again, I'll bring in the other ones that I previously did, and you can see that there's such an opportunity for design here, for creativity, for you to use it how you like it. So I hope you enjoyed this brief tutorial of how I did it, and I hope you will be inspired to make your own, to design them how you like it, and that this is something you can find enjoyment in doing as well. So thank you again for sticking with me through this tutorial. Thank you for joining me on my channel today. I do appreciate all of you, and if you are so moved, I would love to hear your comments. So I hope you will be moved to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, I will see you next on our next crafting session here at Pretty Pink Craft Room. Until then, have a great day. Bye-bye.